the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And then we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
All these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice...
What if the kindest face on TV was hiding a darker truth? For nearly 2 decades, Ellen DeGeneres ruled daytime television, dancing her way into millions of homes with her "Be Kind" mantra. But when whispers of a toxic workplace and shocking behavior surfaced, everything changed.
Beautiful name, Isis.
Ellen's rough. That's
Ellen
a
is
rough
like
one.
an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
It led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty...
Recently, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly stirred the pot, dropping bombshells that have everyone talking. From wild conspiracies to pointed critiques, their words have reignited questions about Ellen's legacy. So what really went down behind the scenes? Let's dive into the story that shook Hollywood and uncover the layers still unraveling. Ellen DeGeneres wasn't just a talk show host. She was an icon.
You see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a right. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they have like...
Launching the Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2003, she brought humor, celebrity guests, and heartwarming giveaways to millions. The show racked up 63 Daytime Emmy Awards and averaged over 4 million viewers daily at its peak. Her catchphrase, "Be kind to one another," became a cultural staple.
On this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, oh, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, like, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
Plastered on t-shirts and social media. Ellen wasn't just likable. She was untouchable, a comedian turned host who seemed to embody positivity. She championed causes, from animal rights to LGBTQ advocacy, and her coming out in 1997 on Ellen was a cultural milestone. But beneath the dancing and giveaways, something wasn't adding up.
Staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim.
And it wouldn't stay hidden for long. By 2020, the cracks started showing. A BuzzFeed news report dropped a bombshell. Ellen's set was allegedly a nightmare. Former employees came forward with stories that painted a starkly different picture. One writer claimed Ellen picked a new staff member to bully every day, telling them to suck it up, because tomorrow it'd be someone else's turn. Another employee recalled being reprimanded for minor mistakes, like a misspelled email, while Ellen's inner circle seemed untouchable. Even audience members felt the tension. Strict dress codes banned black, white, or logoed clothing, and security turned away anyone who didn't comply. One fan, Danielle Acevedo, shared a gut punch story. At 15, she entered a contest to create a bust of Ellen, only to watch Ellen give it away to a random audience member with $500 taped to it. These weren't isolated incidents. They suggested a pattern. The Be Kind queen wasn't so kind after all. But how did this stay quiet for so long? The public's reaction was swift and brutal. After the 2020 allegations, viewership plummeted by over 1 million. Fans felt betrayed, and social media lit up with stories. Comedian Kevin T. Porter tweeted a challenge, asking for mean Ellen stories, promising to donate $2 per credible response to a food bank. He got nearly 2,000 replies, including one from a server, Chris Farah, who said Ellen nearly got her fired over chipped nail polish. Another story came from a 2014 Oscars bodyguard, Tom Meyerkak, who described Ellen as cold and dismissive, ignoring his attempts at basic courtesy. A 2009 lawsuit added fuel, with record companies suing Ellen's show for using over 1,000 songs without permission, hinting at a disregard for rules. The show limped on, but the damage was done. By May 2021, Ellen announced the end of her show, wrapping in 2022 after 19 seasons. She called it a natural conclusion, but the writing was on the wall. Trust was broken, and just when it seemed the story was over, 2 media heavyweights stepped in to keep it alive. Enter Joe Rogan, the podcast king who never shies away from a hot topic. In a 2025 episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, NFL star Aaron Rodgers dropped a wild hint. While discussing Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Little St. James Island, Rodgers pointed to a photo and said it reminded him of a famous talk show set that's not on anymore. Rogan caught the reference instantly, Ellen's set. The comparison was bizarre, suggesting her stage's design echoed Epstein's creepy temple. Rogan wasn't convinced, quickly shutting it down, saying the resemblance was a stretch. But the internet didn't care. Clips of the exchange exploded online, fueling conspiracies about Ellen's dark secrets. No evidence backs the Epstein link, but it tapped into a growing distrust of Ellen's polished image. Rogan's platform, with its 80% male audience and millions of views, gave the story legs. Why did this offhand comment hit such a nerve? Megyn Kelly, never one to hold back, took aim at Ellen on her show. In a 2024 episode of The Megyn Kelly show, she and comedian Rob Schneider dissected Ellen's Netflix special, For Your Approval. Ellen used the stage to address her scandal, joking she was kicked out of show business and blaming her Be Kind catchphrase for boxing her in. She argued that gender double standards fueled her downfall. Men, she said, don't face the same scrutiny. Kelly wasn't buying it. She's playing the victim, Kelly said, pointing out Ellen's $20 million Netflix deal as proof she's far from canceled. Schneider agreed, noting that Hollywood's quick to forgive certain figures, especially those who fit its mold. She's a leftist and she didn't cross their sacred lines, Kelly quipped, predicting Ellen's comeback would sail through. Their critique was sharp, calling out her lack of remorse and the industry's selective outrage. It struck a chord with viewers tired of celebrity spin. But was there more to the story than a PR misstep? The rumors didn't stop with Kelly's takedown. In 2025, Ellen and wife Portia de Rossi moved to an $18 million farmhouse in the Cotswolds, a quiet corner of England far from Hollywood's spotlight. Some saw it as a fresh start. Others called it a retreat from scrutiny. X-posts and YouTube videos, like one titled Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly expose Ellen DeGeneres' dark secrets on live TV, pushed unverified claims of hidden scandals or industry protection. One persistent theory ties Ellen to her real estate, flips with some joking she's running from something, echoing Jennifer Aniston's 2020 quip about Ellen's frequent house sales. Another story resurfaced from 2018, when Ellen faced backlash for defending Kevin Hart's Oscar hosting gig, despite his past homophobic tweets, raising questions about her priorities. None of these prove dark secrets, but they feed a narrative. of a star with more to hide. And then there's the quieter side of her story, one that almost got lost in the noise. Ellen's personal struggles added complexity to her fall. In her Netflix special, she opened up about her 1997 coming out, a moment that tanked her sitcom and left her unemployed for years. She spoke of therapy and childhood trauma, hinting at why her "be kind" image mattered so much. Yet this vulnerability didn't land with everyone. Critics like Kelly argued it felt like a calculated move to deflect blame, especially since Ellen never directly apologized to her staff. Fans on X were split. Some praised her honesty. Others saw it as a bid for sympathy while dodging accountability. A 2025 thread claimed Ellen's team scrubbed negative comments from her social media, though no proof surfaced. Her recent loss, a beloved rescue dog Augie, in 2025, briefly softened public sentiment, with Portia's emotional Instagram post gaining thousands of likes. But sympathy faded fast as old stories resurfaced. Why does Ellen's narrative keep shifting? The cultural context here is key. Rogan and Kelly's platforms thrive on questioning mainstream narratives, appealing to audiences who distrust Hollywood's elite. Rogan's listeners, mostly young men, and Kelly's conservative-leaning viewers see Ellen as a symbol of celebrity hypocrisy. Her 2019 defense of sitting with George W. Bush at a football game, despite his anti-LGBTQ policies, didn't help, with critics calling her out for prioritizing connections over principles. Add to that her friendship with figures like Diddy, whose own controversies exploded in 2024, and the whispers grew louder. Posts on X speculated about Ellen's elite circle, though no evidence ties her to anything criminal. These connections, paired with her workplace allegations, paint a picture of a star who played the game, maybe too well. But how much of this is truth versus speculation? So, what's next for Ellen? Her Netflix special billed itself as a farewell, but Kelly's prediction might hold. Hollywood could welcome her back. The industry's forgiveness often depends on alignment with its values, and Ellen's identity as a lesbian and liberal may shield her from lasting consequences. Yet her legacy is tarnished. Fans who once adored her now question the gap between her image and reality. A 2025 YouTube poll showed 60% of 10,000 respondents believed Ellen's "be kind" persona was a facade, though 25% still saw her as a trailblazer. Her foundation, which supports animal welfare, keeps her name in a positive light, but its impact is debated. Can she reclaim her status, or will these shadows linger? The answer might depend on what Hollywood values more, image or truth. This isn't just about Ellen. It's about the stories we're sold. Rogan and Kelly, with their massive platforms, have us questioning what's real and what's not. The whispers about Ellen's behavior, from staff mistreatment to odd lawsuits, paint a picture of a star who wasn't what she seemed. Her story reflects a bigger truth. Celebrity personas are fragile, and when they crack, the fallout is messy. As you watch the next big talk show or viral interview, ask yourself, what's happening off camera? The truth might be more shocking than anything said on air. Stick around because there's always another story waiting to break.